Hello everyone, Smiley here. How you doing? Hope you're all having a good week and your return to school has been good. I'm jumping online because this week is the last week to sign up for my Be Your Best Friend course. But before I talk about that, I just want to talk to you about if you're feeling lonely or left out or like you don't belong or you've got some sort of tricky friendships, because when you start a new term, especially if you've started a new school and you feel like you don't know anyone, it is normal for you to feel like that, and that these things kind of take time to it takes time for friendships to grow. Like really good friendships take time to build. Solid friendships are built on trust. And it takes a long time to get to know everybody. And so if you have started a new school term and you're thinking, I haven't got any friends, I don't know anyone. And when you're lonely, that can come from a place of desperation and you might enter into the wrong friendship. So my advice to you would be to sit back and become an observer of what's going on in the playground, what's going on in the classroom, and just work everyone out. Suss everyone out. Watch how things are unfolding. Stay with yourself. Concentrate on the work and just enjoy being at school if you can. Hi Eileen, how are you doing? I'm going to take questions at the end if anyone wants questions, but I wanted to show a card to all these children, Smiley Thought card. I am never alone. And the reason why we feel alone is because we've disconnected from ourselves, and that's quite a grown-up concept, isn't it? But when we feel alone, it's because we're not connected to who we are. So you can be in a room full of people and feel alone. You can be in a classroom full of people and you're trying to fit in because the need and the urge to sort of belong, because that's how we're built. We're built to belong and have connections with people, is really, really big. So we start to become who we aren't really. We start to become someone else so that we can fit in. And actually, if you think about back to being a kid, how often did you do things or hide bits of yourself or pretend to like something you didn't like because you wanted to fit in? It's your first time watching. I'm good, thank you. You're very welcome here. And so this is about accepting yourself and not making yourself wrong and being patient and being kind with yourself. And on the back, it's probably the wrong way around because it's Facebook. It says, life can feel lonely, be your own best friend and learn how to love your own company. And I feel like a lot of children who can't be by themselves don't like being by themselves because they're normally flooded with anxiety or they've got uncomfortable feelings and they feel lonely. But I think they would feel lonely whether they were alone, like by themselves or not. Because lonely and being alone are not the same things, are they? I've just had that discussion with one of my teen clients. So I think also I see children who, if children have been bullied, or they're different in some way, or they feel different in some way. So let me think of some examples, like boys who don't play football. I've coached sensitive, autistic boys that play football. They feel different in some way to their peers. Sometimes in families, we can feel different to the rest of our family. So if the rest of our family is all peaceful and calm, and we're the angry one, often that child is just playing out the whole family's anger, to be honest with you, then we start to feel different. When we feel different, we don't feel accepted for who we are. So we try to change ourselves. And often I see children who've been bullied or who feel different and know they're different. When they get into new friendship situations, they put themselves on the outside of a friendship group. They're doing that to keep themselves safe. So it's hard for them to be social. It's hard for them to go and make friends. That fear of rejection, that fear of being different, because in their mind, different equals rejected, is super, super tough for them. And I don't know if as an adult you've ever felt like that. I certainly have. I felt like, I've got red hair. And when I was at school, we didn't have people around like Ed Sheeran who made red hair cool and trendy, or Prince Harry. And so I got teased for having red hair. And already inside, I had very low self-esteem and I didn't think very highly of myself. So when people tease me, those people are just pushing on my hurty bits that are already there. And I think children who feel alone or feel lonely or struggle with friendships have got high anxiety levels, probably social anxiety. And in the main, they struggle with relationships because they don't know themselves. So they're just looking for someone to kind of latch onto. They're looking to belong. They want to be accepted, but on some level, they haven't seen or accepted themselves. They don't know themselves. And there's quite a few ways that parenting styles can sort of contribute to that. I'm not saying it's all parenting styles, because remember, children have different temperaments as well. So introverted children are not going to be drawn to big groups. They're going to be much happier in one-to-one situations. They're not going to want loads of friends. They might find that really overwhelming. But often parents compare children. So when I speak to parents, they'll go, well, I've got one really good child who's like really quiet and compliant, and then I've got one really angry child who's really naughty and defiant. And then I just think, right there in that moment, you've made that child different and wrong. If you want your child to overhear you talking about them, you want them to hear good stuff. Because right in that heartbeat, and that parent's not doing that on purpose, just making an observation, but a child is hearing, oh, I need to be more like my brother and sister, but I haven't got the same temperament as them because I'm different. And actually, if you think about it, in families, we're all bloody different. We're not all the same. So I don't want to, so say it's a bowl of fruit, I don't want to be like an apple because I'm meant to be a banana. So stop trying to make me an apple. And I think that's why some children get really angry as well, because parents try and put them in a box that they don't want to go into because that's not who they are. And that's often because the parent can't see the child as they are. They're seeing the child, seeing the child as they need them to be or as they want them to be. I also think highly critical and perfectionist parents can also create low self-esteem, can create that kind of disconnect, that child who feels like, every time I see you, you're like wiping my face, adjusting my hair, telling me to stop doing this, telling me to stop doing that. And they feel like they're not pleasing you because they're seeking your love and approval. So when they feel like that, they feel like they're just disappointing you all the time. Then they internalise the story of, well, I'm not good enough because I never get it right, because you're always correcting me. And if you think about it, I think I might have just lost you then. If you think about it, you are always correcting your children. You're always correcting them because they're learning. But how many times is it necessary for you to correct them? How many times do they need to learn the lessons so they can work it out for themselves? How many times do you need to, tell them they're doing it wrong? Can they find out for themselves without obviously them getting hurt or being in danger? And I also think, because of the world that we live in, so now I'm thinking about social media, I'm thinking that the comparison has stopped being about, in my classroom I compare myself to 30 other kids, or in my family I compare myself to the 3 other people or 2 other people here, or however big your family is. On social media you're comparing yourself to the rest of the world. Now that's huge, because if you've got low self-esteem and you're making those comparisons, you're always going to find somebody richer, smarter, taller, smaller, fatter, thinner, cleverer than you. And actually the comparison you need to make is the comparison to yourself. Like, instead of trying to show up as being perfect and competing with those other people, you almost kind of just want to track your own progress and think, am I a better person than I was yesterday, last week, yada, yada. And so that's what you want your children to do when they start going down a road of saying, oh, well, Johnny got a 90% in maths and I only got 5 and I'm rubbish at maths. You kind of want to acknowledge those feelings of disappointment, but then gently remind your child of what they are good at, and that maybe they're not meant to be. I always say to the kids, like, I was never good at maths at school, and now I understand why, because I'm a Smiley coach, and when I was at school this job didn't exist. But what I was really good at was reading people, understanding people. I was also really good at having a voice and being heard, but I was also really good at taking care of people and solving problems. So I didn't need to be good at maths. And your child doesn't know what their future's going to end up as, but you can guarantee that if they're not good at maths, that's not going to be something they're going to be using in the future. And you kind of want to put that into perspective without making them want to stop trying. You want to say, just try your best and that's enough. You don't have to be the best at everything, and just enjoy the things that you are good at and the things that you love. And I was listening to a lady actually homeschooling. She homeschools, and she was saying that the love of learning is lost at school because it's such a structured environment which doesn't play to the children's learning styles. And she woke up one morning and her kids were loving doing maths, but they weren't loving doing spelling. And she said, I said to them, do you want to go outside and do an activity? So we were watering with the hose, the garden, and actually they wanted me to hose them down. She lives in Australia, by the way. It was boiling hot, not like it is here. And she said, so I was saying to them, right, you need to spell a word and then I'll hose you down. Spell a word. And she said, we did all our spellings in like half an hour. And we had and the energy was different because we weren't all tense thinking, oh, got to get it right, got to get it right, got to get it right. We were actually laughing and having fun. And obviously that's not always possible. And in the classroom, teachers are very focused on controlling the classroom, but they have to because they've got lots of children. But the fun is lost and there's a lot of fear there, and that kind of spoils it for the children. So I can see that a lot of the children that come to coaching, a lot of the issues they have, so whether that's friendship, confidence, worries and anxiety, not sleeping, is all based on how they see themselves, whether they see themselves as a victim or whether they see themselves as kind of like a survivor, a warrior, you know. And these children who have low self-esteem see themselves as victims. They see themselves as not having choices, of not having power. Obviously, children don't have all the power we do, but in certain situations, they do need to have choices and power. And I think strong-willed children need those choices more than anyone, because if you try and tell them as it is, they're just going to butt up against you, and you're going to be met with an almighty anger, a storm of anger. And this week I had a mum it was last week, I had a mum who contacted me and she said, I really want my son to do the workshop that my other son did. So I used to do these creative coaching workshops, which were like activities, and they were all arts and crafts. And she said, I really want my son to do that. And I said, okay, well, this new course that I'm running, this 6-week course, is like that, but it's online. But it's a similar thing. You do it from home, from a tablet or from an iPad. But actually, you're going to be there because you're going to be learning with your child. Because it's very likely, if your child has not got good esteem, that you don't have it either. Because, you know, children become the environment they live in. Am I describing your eldest? Yes, that was me growing up, Eileen. So you learn together, you learn. And you can also see from watching me coach them live, like where you can kind of come into that and help and support that. So not fixing it for them, but helping and supporting. So she said to me, she said, no, we don't want to do that. And I said, why? And she said, well, how am I going to convince my son to come to an online class when if I felt like I was dressing it up as arts and crafts? So it's like now we've got to lie to our kids to get them to come because we feel like on some level we need to convince them, which is not true, right? We're all motivated by how we feel. So if we go back to the choices thing, if your child feels rubbish at school, feels lonely, has no friendships, is left out, what are the choices? If they don't, I mean, I'm not saying I'm the answer, but I would kind of say something like, it sounds like you're really struggling with that and I'd like to help you, but I need you to meet me halfway. So what could we do? There's a class online, this lady might be able to help you, obviously brainstorm ideas and see where you're at. You know, if your child doesn't want to come, any resistance, any avoidance is actually fear. And I did a video the other day that I've posted on my page, which talks about how you can deal with that, because they are going to butt up against you and say, no, I don't want to do that, because they don't know what it looks like. And I was actually hoping if I can turn my camera around, I might show you what it looks like to come inside one of my online groups so you can actually show it to your children. You know, if you were taking them to school, a new school, you would show them around, wouldn't you, and say, this is the assembly, this is the toilets, this is where the canteen. So if I kind of show you what it looks like, that might take some of their fears away. But this lady was saying this to me and I was saying to her, listen, just say to your son, well, what are your choices then? You can go to school and feel rubbish every day, feel like you've got no friends and feel lonely, or you can do something about it. What do you want to do? And you give the power back to them and they are making the decision and they are taking back the control. So you're not saying to them, you will go on this course, because actually that doesn't work. That doesn't work. So let me just see if I can flip my screen around. Stay with me, caller. And I'm going to see if I can show you. Hang on, let me take you out of here. You still there? Yeah. Right, let me flip around. There we go. Right. There's my laptop. Oh, that was me. I'm just finishing off this blog post. It's not finished, but it's called Frozen Fear. It's my next blog post, which actually gives you a script of what to say to your child when they are fearful and they don't want to do something. So I've got a lot of kids at the moment who are refusing to go to school. But if you don't step into your parental authority and take that off the table, like, it's not an option to go to school, that's breaking the law, but you can still have empathy for them and you can still set boundaries with them, but they need to work with you on that. If you allow them to stay at home and you buy into their story, then you're actually enabling their behaviour, and that doesn't help them. Do you see what I'm saying? So that Frozen in Fear blog post up there, it's up there, that's going to be, you can see it's protected at the moment because I haven't published it yet. I'm just writing it, but that will come soon. But when you sign up for Be Your Best Friend, so I'm taking applications for it. So that's the page. You just fill in your details and I send you a questionnaire and you book some time in my diary and we talk about if this is the best option for your child, because it might not be. But when you get inside the Facebook group, so can you see at the top of the page, and I don't know if you can read that, but above, because it's really blurry, but it says, what I have learned, #happy dance, #I have a question, #helpful share. So children can come in and post, obviously through your account, what they have done on the course. Now up this side, we've got units. So this is a closed Facebook group. So the only people that can see the content are the people in it. All the units of the course are in here. So you go in and it says Unit 1. We're doing a friendship assessment for week 1. Week 2, get to know yourself. And there's a live call every week with me. So you just come into the group for 45 minutes on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Week 3 is respect yourself. Week 4 is protect yourself. Week 5 is stand up for yourself. Week 6 is be your own best friend. So that's like self-care and being kind to yourself and having compassion, not being so hard on yourself and perfectionistic. So that is all it is. It's just coming into a Facebook group. And when you come into the group, basically I appear at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday in a live video and you can interact with me using your emojis. This is what we do in the Energy Pod, using your emojis and using your keypad to type in so you can ask me questions. But each week we're going to have a different module. So on this page, just quickly, it does show you all the modules. So we've got, let's go down a bit further. Here we go. Week 1, so it's just as I've said, so it explains to you on each week what you're getting. But it's basically to improve. I'm going to bring you back in now. Hello again. It's basically to improve to grow your child's self-esteem, but also for you to see how you can help them. Because if you don't value yourself and you put yourself last and you're always putting everyone else's needs before your own, you're giving your child a message, not intentionally of course, that that's what women do. So if you've got a son, your son needs to then go and find a woman like that, because that's how he sees it in his mind. And if you've got a daughter, you're teaching her that's how she needs to be accepted, which is rubbish. Because actually, when we put other people's needs before our own, we're being codependent and we are not taking care of ourselves and we get resentful. And our self-esteem is based on what we do for others, not who we are as a person. So if you're still online and you have any questions to ask me about your child, if your child is struggling with friendships, it's very likely it's because they are disconnected from themselves. They don't know how they feel. They don't know what they want. And they don't know how to be in friendships. And then obviously that affects your conflict resolution style. So you're either out having beef with everyone or you're shying away from people and feeling attacked. And then that you become that victim again. And I want the kids to grow up knowing who they are, what they value in friendships, and I want them to know that they don't have to tolerate any behaviour that isn't right, whether that's in their family or not. They just don't need to tolerate it, because you don't want your child going out into the world thinking that they have to push down all their own needs and put up with everyone else's crap in order to feel like a good person. You want them to know that they're a good person from the inside, and therefore you want them to value themselves so much that isn't an option. They just don't get into relationships like that. But then it also helps them make other choices in their lives. It helps them make choices about what careers they want. They want the best for themselves. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Claire. They want the best for themselves. They respect themselves. And actually, when you start to feel like that about yourselves, you don't attract any of the dross into your life. It's just not an option. It's just not an option. You give off a very different energy. Whereas when you're that lonely kid in the playground on your own, you're just looking to connect because you need to belong somewhere, your energy vibrates at a different level, and it is desperate, and it does attract the wrong kind of friendships. And one of the most popular blog posts that's read on my Pinterest account is what to do when you feel lonely. This card, I am never alone. And I feel like so many of us feel alone because we're not, okay Claire, don't worry, because we're not connected to ourselves, and we don't really know ourselves, so we don't really know where our place is in the world. And we're too busy worrying about what other people think of us and what other people need, and we're not really being our own best friend. We're not being there for ourselves. So that is why I've set up the course. So it's £275 for the 6 weeks, and the reason I'm doing it at such a bargainous price is because I'm running it as a trial. All the material I've run before is one-to-one material, but I've never done it in a group environment. So I'm going to roll it out all that material out in a group and see how we play that out, see how that works out. And then I'll probably launch it again next year with all the tweaks and all the stuff made. But I think I'll always do it as a live course. I don't think I'll run it like my online learning packs, because I think you need when you've got that kind of low self-esteem and you've got that parent-child thing going on, I think you need a third person to kind of intervene and very lovingly and very kindly point out how the dynamic in that relationship is being played out elsewhere, if that makes sense. So just seeing what this lady said. This would be so relevant for a friend, but she doesn't follow you. Oh, I can't read the rest of that message. But she can watch it again. She can. So the course starts next week. It starts on... Our first live call is on Wednesday. So that will be doing the friendship assessment and getting everyone in the group and understanding what the boundaries are and going through how it works. But you do need to apply, because I want to talk to you, because I want to understand what your needs are so I can make sure that we're a good fit for each other. Because it's going to be quite a big piece of work in 6 weeks. Not in terms of your time. You need to be able to give about an hour a week in terms of your time. And how much you contribute and how much you don't contribute just depends on what works for you. Like, some children sit back and just are observers, and the quiet ones are the ones that are just taking it all in, whereas some children are more vocal and they need to be heard. So, we can accommodate everyone's needs, but I do need you to be committed to want to do the work for 6 weeks. So, Alana, hi, I don't know you, but if you want to share, there's a share button down here. So if you want to share this video with your friend, if you think it might be helpful for her, that would be great. Claire, it's lovely to see you. Has anyone else got any questions for me while I'm online? Because if not, I'm going to pop off and make my stir fry for my tea. I've got salmon stir fry tonight for my tea. No Big Brother tonight. I haven't watched it for years, and I just got hooked into Celebrity Big Brother. It's the psychology of it that I love. And you see, in that group situation, there was a lot of scapegoating and bullying going on, and a lot of rescuing. And you can really see the dynamic, and it's really good for me because I can go, oh, that's happening, and oh, that's happening, and oh, that person's kind of sizing everyone up. See, I can't just watch something and enjoy it. It has to be like I'm at work, doesn't it? But that's how much I live it. I love my job. That's how I live my life. So I can't really help it. It's just part of who I am. So yes, if you just share this video. So when I come offline, this video comes up probably to the top of the page here, Alana, and then you can just share, or you could tag your friend in it or just get her to email me, lisa@smileyforlife.com, and I'll try and help her. All right. But I don't know if any of you guys got any questions about your kids who are struggling to fit in or who need a hand with anything. I just feel for these little bears going back to school and feeling like they've got no one. Like, that is horrible, and it's not necessary. And my wish for this course in the future is, and I think when I've rolled it out a few more times and get more people coming off it, because I used to see this at the Friendship Know-How workshop when I used to do the craft workshops, is the kids start to make friends with each other. And how lovely is that you, even though you might not have a friend at school, you might not feel accepted at school, you might recognise you're different and feel left out, there is a place that you can come, there is somewhere that isn't your family that does accept you and love you as you are. And that's my soft, aren't I? That's my wish for those children. It really is. So on that lovely, lovely note, I shall leave you all to enjoy your evenings, and I shall see you all really soon. Take care.